Good day, YouTubers. Thanks for joining me. This is video 22 in my series of videos on Ontario Northland models in HO, and today we're taking a look at Intermountain diesel locomotives. Now, for most Ontario Northland modelers out there over the last 10 or 15 years, if you had some passenger consists on your railway, it's most likely that you were pulling them with one or two of these Intermountain F units, followed by a string of Rapido cars. And it's only until very recently, when Rapido released their FP7s here just last year, that that's perhaps changed a little bit. But I also thought that these were relatively well done locomotives and wanted to show them to you in a little more detail here today. I've got 1514 on the tracks right now in the classic green scheme, and we'll maybe just do a little bit of a run-up and show you guys how they performed. The prime movers on there. We've got the headlight on and the running board lights on. So perhaps a little bit of poor synchronization there between the brake squeal and the engine idle speeds. But I think if I recall, it did work a little better with some momentum functions engaged. But runs relatively well, low speeds as you can see, and quite a heavy locomotive, so a lot of pulling power. Now just to pick this unit up here and to take a look at it in a little more detail. So some nice etched metalled grills. The paint scheme nice and sharp. Again, like I said, quite nice and heavy. Not much in regards to underbody detail, but still not too bad overall. In regards to grab irons and such, all of them separately applied. Now, just to show you that there were some variances here in paint color and such between runs. Pick up another unit here. You can see that the application of the yellow on this classic green run is a little bit on the darker side, and you've got the interruption in the stripes on the front end. So this reflects how these locomotives looked upon delivery with that interruption of stripes, and they were repainted. They did have that corrected within the few years of their working life. So you can see here on this unit the connected stripes on the front. Some of the early photographs seem to suggest that perhaps the shade of the yellow paint that was being used was a little lighter in color. So perhaps this run here with the lighter color would have been more appropriate with the interruption in the front stripes, but perhaps getting a little picky. This one here has the fan cover applied that was included with the model. Guess I don't have that applied on all of the units that I have here. So Intermountain did produce these units in a few different runs with a few different variations, obviously. So what I have in the The most recent run with the lighter shade of yellow is 1511, 1514, and 1518. I know 1504 was included in that same run, again with the lighter yellow. And it does look like there's some units from an earlier run floating around out there. I've got unit 1508 and 1517. Looks like units 1502 and 1520 were painted in that darker tone of yellow, an earlier run. Not sure if it's the same run as this, and not sure if they've got the interrupted front end stripe. I have been looking for some confirmation of that, but haven't seen one of those yet. There's also unit 1515. Again, I think that was the darker paint coloration, but I could be wrong. Now, taking a look at the later chevron scheme here, I think Intermountain did a nice job in regards to getting these painted up somewhat prototypically. Nice capture in the color of the yellow utilized. The blue labeling looks great and sharp. The light blue handrails and such all look very good. Again, you've got that etched metal grill along the side. Got the chevrons and such applied to the nose. So looking pretty good. So in the chevron paint scheme here, I've got units 1510 and 1520. And just for those of you looking at what I have in the background here a little bit, I only have shells for 1520 and for 1518 that I found on the used market. But I'll try and get a chassis under those here one of these days. So in that chevron scheme, they also produced units 1502, 1509, 1517, and 1521. I actually used to have a few more of these, but decided that I needed to purge a bit with the announcement of Rapido's FP7 release, and the fact that that was just going to impact my bank account to too significant a degree. So here, taking a look at this shell here, I wish to point out the grill work in a little more detail. So 1520 is a unit that had this later grill work, and you can see that comparing this to an earlier iteration here, that it does reflect that earlier grill work style that was available on some of the earlier locomotives delivered. I did want to compare to one of the more recent Rapido models. So again, you've got a slightly darker shade of yellow than you're seeing on that most recent run of Rapido trains. And this is an earlier unit with the earlier style of grill work here. So I'm going to pick up this shell here just as a comparison. So you can see that there is a little bit of variation in regards to grill locations and such on the side. The FP7 on top here represents what the American units would have looked like in regards to specific details, and the Rapido unit below represents what would have come out of the London, Ontario factory. But I'll put that away here now. We'll get to Rapido in more detail in a later video. What we'll do now is take a look at the SD40 by Intermountain. So I've got unit 1736 here on the rails. I'll just get that queued up. Startup sequence going on here. And I'll Back that up here and get it running a little bit. So again, some nice low-speed movement from these locomotives. Reasonably nice and heavy once again. And the headlights on here. And turning her off again. So a nice running locomotive once again. It seems that Intermountain's pretty consistent on how well their locomotives run, and some good low speed quality there. They appear to be using some good motors and such. And again, a nice application of paint and colors and a few detail parts and separately applied grab irons and such. Now, in regards to accuracy, these aren't too terrible by any means. They've managed to capture most of the details specific to how these locomotives actually looked. But just as a comparison here, I will show you a SD40 by Bowser. Again, same road number coincidentally. But what Bowser has captured here that Intermountain has not is the extended roof line, a cover basically over the air intake there. Otherwise, very similar units. Again, good capture of color and such on this Bowser unit. But we'll look at the Bowser units at more detail in a later video. I just wanted to provide a little bit of a side-by-side comparison in regards to accuracy and color, and I also find it's interesting to see how these locomotives vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. So on the SD40s, Intermountain released unit numbers 1732, 1733, 1736, and 1737. So all four numbers and all of them accurate representations of Ontario Northland's actual SD40s. It looks like there might have been a special run on unit 1735. I'm not sure if that ever came through to actual production or not. I've just seen some marketing materials around it. If anyone out there knows if a unit 1735 actually got built, I would love to know. I will leave it there for today. Next video we'll take a look at Intermountain HO freight cars. Thank you.